What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and a brand new episode of my F1 2017 career mode, and we are here for round number 2 for the Chinese Grand Prix in season 6. And if you did miss the last episode at the Australian Grand Prix, guys, and I do urge you to go check that one out in the top right hand corner of your screen on the card annotation. But we're here for the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai, and a bit of a mixed track for me because I don't particularly enjoy it. However, these cars seem to work pretty well on the circuit, and based off of practice, the car felt pretty good around here. I thought I had a pretty decent car underneath me, and going to this weekend, I sort of have a little bit of quiet confidence that I could get a good job done, especially after Australia, where I led 22 of the 29 laps in that race. I think we've got a quietly competitive car underneath us this season compared to last year, so I was going in for a little bit of expectation without getting my hopes up too much, because, you know, just like Australia and my incident there, anything can happen, and you've got to be very, very wary and also realistic with your chances. But jumping into Saturday qualifying here in Q1, opting for the super soft compound tyres in the first part of qualifying here, and currently Sebastian Vettel is the fastest man around the track here, and we're going to set our personal best and our best lap of the session on super softs when we jump up into P4 momentarily. Then we get knocked down to P5, and then eventually we get knocked down to P9 as we're a couple of seconds, or just under a second and a half off the pace. Felipe Massa there getting a brilliant P5 there, and a really good competitive lap there from my teammate. But jumping into Q2 now, and the rain actually arrived out of nowhere, and we had to go for the intermediates, and these conditions sort of changed it a bit for me, because my car, as we know, I've not particularly been great in the wet with my Williams car, so I was a little bit concerned. So I was really leaving it late when the track was at its driest, and I managed to get a pretty good lap together actually at right at the end of the session. Fastest in the first sector, a couple of tenths down in the second, and then across the line in the final sector, we lost the entire lap. I don't know what happened, but we crossed the line. I think we went briefly out for a split second, like 5th or 4th or something like that. And then the next thing I know, I've been knocked down 11th. So we've been knocked down Q2, and a bit of an unexpected one, but it wasn't even close. I mean, Massa's the next man up, and he's 6 tenths ahead of me. So yeah, disappointing. Just no real pace in the wet, and I thought it was a pretty good lap, but obviously it wasn't, and Massa beats me to the punch, and he actually knocks me out, and by 6 tenths, which is a pretty substantial margin, and Alonso manages to creep into the top 10 there for McLaren, so very good job from him. But I thought to myself, you know what, P11, I don't think we've got the pace that I think I've got, so I'm just going to take an extra engine penalty early on in the season, because I'm going for the World Drivers' Championship, so it's a good chance now to take the penalty and get it out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to open up the 5th power unit, but then we're actually going to use the second one and revert to power unit number 2 for the race. So we'll be using a new power unit for this race weekend, and hopefully we can try and get some points with it using maximum power at our advantage, starting from the back of the grid. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the race for round number 2 for the Chinese Grand Prix. Right, here we are then, race day for the Chinese Grand Prix, round number 2 of the season, and I decided, as you would have seen on screen after qualifying, to take some engine penalties and start from the back of the grid, basically, because I've realised my engine situation and engine wear isn't that great, even though we put some upgrades on over the winter. So just to sort of play it safe with 5 power units for the season, I think I'm just going to basically just run this extra engine, and hopefully it works out for us. Like I say, a fresh power unit in the back of the car to try and fight our way through the field. Last to pretty much interrogation mark challenge. That's going to make the race very interesting in itself. But hopefully we can have a good race here today. I am looking forward to it, and anywhere in the points, pretty much, or in the top 8 would be pretty damn good in my opinion, because tyre is going to be an interesting one around this track, and it's going to really dictate the strategy. So speaking of that, as you'll see on the screen right now, a bit all over the place with the strategy. I didn't really know what to go for. What I've gone for is actually the slowest one out of all the available strategies and all the ones that I can actually customize myself. But the reason I've gone for it is because I wanted to start in the mediums and just see how the race goes, basically, because I want to try to take them as long as I can into the race, and I can leave my options open. So if I go into the mediums, and I don't think I can maybe go on a 1-stop, I can always do a 2-stop, yeah, and using 2 sets of super softs instead of maybe what you can see on screen right now. And also, if I want to try and convert to the 1-stop onto softs, then I can maybe make that work. So I'm basically just doing this strategy to keep my options open, so don't really take it too seriously there. But also, fuel-wise, we've fueled up by just over half a lap. I don't want to be too heavy, especially in this initial phase in the medium tyres, because of the understeer that I'll have probably. But overall, overcast throughout. It's going to be a pretty good race, and fingers crossed we can fight back through the field, and by the end of the first couple of laps we should be hopefully near the point scoring positions. But with that said, we are now going to jump into the race for round number 2 for the Chinese Grand Prix. Right, here we go then. We're going to get ready for the 5 red lights. Surrounded by super soft guys on the tyres. It's going to be pretty hard to get a good start here, but lights out and away we go. A little bit of poor traction, but not too bad. But unfortunately, those on supers just getting a ridiculous amount of traction off of the line. But we're just going to take it easy to turn 1 here and wait for our spot. We're going to try and pick up an inside line. And also, it's very important we keep our nose clean in this initial phase of the Grand Prix because a front wing change now would be catastrophic. So we've got to try and keep the car pointing in the right direction. Try being the key word there. As you see my back end slipping out. We've got Pascal Verline on my right hand side here. As we're now going to turn 4 or turn 5 for the first time. Braking hard. I'm going to try and slip up the inside of Stoffel Van Dorn here. He's still on my outside. He gets better traction than me on the super soft, but I'm just going to power past and just make it around the outside of the Belgian here, and we're up into P15 so far in this first lap. Verstappen up ahead, getting a bit out of shape and causing a bit of a pile-up. We're going to have a look up the inside of signs, but just thought better of it. I got a little bit put offline because of the AR slowing up, and now Van Dorn's going around my outside, and he's absolutely done me there. Absolutely brilliant manoeuvre there from the Belgian. He's going defensive a little bit, so he's going to force my hand to go to the outside, but Van Dorn defending beautifully there, and we're back down to P16, so not a great first lap, but still pretty good, not too bad nonetheless, because we are still looking pretty good for position here. But let's see what our straight line speed is like down this back straight, and I think we should be pretty competitive here. Van Dorn, I can see we're already catching, and Van Dorn's catching the guys in front, and this is hairpin is going to be absolute chaos, so we're going to get the chance to go back up the inside of Van Dorn here. We've got the cars locking up left, right and centre, and Verstappen's in a bit of a battle there. I can see with Alonso. We're going to try and go around the outside of Van Dorn to the front corner here. We're going to leave him some room on the inside, but Van Dorn is having absolutely none of it. Side by side, but we just get our car in front of the Belgian there, and we're back up into 15th place. But loads of squabbling going on here. Cars going side by side to turn 1. We're going to try and basically spot a little gap and try and make a move, but it looks like Alonso and Sainz, the 2 Spaniards, are duking it out for the pride of the Spanish flag here, and we're not too far behind. Massa there just up the road on soft, so there's our teammates. So it's not too bad so far, but now we've got to try and settle into this race a little bit on these tyres and start making the moves one by one and try and pick guys off here and not waste too much time in the process. Okay, out the bank here, I've had a brilliant exit. I'm just going to fly past Kevin Magnussen, who had a pretty poor exit. He had a very good initial phase, but I got the better exit speed. And look at the straight line speed we have now on Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz picking up a massive toe here. We're going to go up the inside of Carlos Sainz into the hairpin. Brilliant manoeuvre. Triple overtake into P12. Absolutely brilliant. Minimising the time loss there. Getting all the moves done on the back straight. So we're now a couple of places shy of points and 1 place behind my teammate Felipe Massa here. So very good start to this race now. And that was a very, very critical triple overtake. But we now got to try get a head down and try and keep up and if not pass Felipe Massa on the medium tyres. So let's try and get on the pace here. Try and crack down and see if we can try and get past my teammate. Personal best after personal best at the minute, and the gap with Massa is increasing slightly, but it's all traffic and battling going up ahead, so that bodes pretty well for me in terms of those guys hopefully losing time whilst battling. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing here, and we're looking in pretty good shape hopefully once the pit stops come around. Okay, so we've got the first of the super soft tyre runners in the pit lane in the form of Valtteri Bottas. Massa currently having a battle with Jolyon Palmer as well, so those guys on softs are just sort of battling out. The gap has stayed pretty much the same between myself and Massa in the last 3 laps. I've sort of stabilised the pace on these tyres, so I feel pretty comfortable right now, and I've definitely got a bit of life left in these yet. So far we're doing pretty good. Okay, so these super soft tyre runners are actually staying on pretty long on those tyres, going on to the 11th lap now. Only Bottas, Perez and Ricciardo have come in, and these guys are going to medium, so they're going to the end of the race I think on those tyres. So we must have some pretty severe tyre wear if we can't make the one stop on mediums and super softs actually possible. So definitely a concern of ours as we've got a yellow flag behind. Something's happened just behind us, so don't know what's happened there, but either way we're going to continue on here. We're still holding on. Bottas now though joining me for company on those super softs, so he's going to be pretty damn quick. So I'm not going to put too much of a fight because realistically we're just wasting our time. So if he does come past, then I won't make it too hard for him. Here he goes, he's going to go to the inside. I'm going to let him have the inside line. I'm not going to fight him too hard because I'll have the DRS onto the back straight, thank you very much. So there we go. He's probably going to just pull away now through this banking because of the traction on those super soft tyres, which is going to allow me to now just basically open up DRS and make up for the time that I lost in the overtake process, as you can see now. And Ricciardo is now going to be the next man behind us on mediums. But luckily, like I said, he's on the same tyre, so I feel confident that I might have a bit more of a better chance of keeping him behind me because we are on pretty much the equal conditions. So I think we can keep Ricciardo behind us here, and also Perez as well. So let's see if we can try and do that. It looks like we've got a few more cars in the pit lane. Nico Hülkenberg coming in, and who's the other guy? That is Lewis Hamilton, as we said, another personal best. So still got some good pace here. These tyres are still holding on, even though they're not exactly new anymore. We've still set some pretty okay lap times, and it's a question of just trying to hold on as long as we can here. You know, the longer we stay out, the better it is. The only way we're going to remain competitive this race is if we commit to the one stop. We have to do the one stop, otherwise there's absolutely no chance of points unless it's a safety car on the two-stop strategy. So we just got to stay on this tyre for as long as we can, and I might even try and stay out to about lap 18 and try and get that super soft on to try and be competitive even more in that final stint. But 5 more laps is going to be a bit of a stretch on this tyre, I think. Okay, Jolyon Palmer and Felipe Massa in the pit lane, so that's another 2 guys who have come in. Also, Romain Grosjean has just retired from the race, so we're now up into P4. But let's see where this ends up. This is going to be very interesting strategy-wise to see how we all sort of feed out in terms of our final track position here. I'm not really talking that much because I'm really concentrating harder right now. These tyres are just not losing that much performance. I did another personal best in the first sector just now. My last lap was within a tenth of my personal best, and Perez now going for a move, even though I've done a personal best middle sector here. It just goes to show, in terms of my own pace, I'm pretty good. It's just that AI are faster than me. Perez is going to try and go on the outside of the banking here, and fair play to him with the extra grip on the tyres. It's going to be side by side here, and unfortunately with Ricciardo behind me, I was comfortably being able to defend. But now Perez has got past. It's going to be a real challenge here. We're going to just hold the inside, and Perez in a straight line, struggling to make the move. Ricciardo looking to get in on the action here as we go to the hairpin. I'm going to brake very hard and late. A little bit hot on the brakes there, but we're going to try and get on the power. Ricciardo's on my inside, and he's actually made it work, and he's absolutely come out of nowhere there. We've got Perez on my inside, trying to make it 3 wide here, but Ricciardo has made the move into P4, and I think we've got Bottas in the pit lane. Here we go, Perez making a move with me here. I'm going to try and return the favour to Ricciardo by going up the inside here into turn 1. Can we pull it off? It's side by side. Ricciardo on my outside. It's very, very close. Very little road in terms of space left. Ricciardo, though, goes completely around my outside beautifully there, and that is the grip difference, unfortunately, with tyres that mine are now pushing 60% wear, and Ricciardo, who is a much fresher mediums. But we're giving this race a good old fight, and really enjoying the challenge and relishing it. As you can see, still matching personal best sectors. I'm just not really struggling for pace. There's my tyre situation, and I'm going to hold on 1 more lap and come in next lap for super softs. I might as well hold on because I've got this far into the race. I may as well go into the supers at the end. Okay, I'm going to make a late call. I'm going to try and do 11 laps on the super softs. It's a late dive and a late decision, but you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to go for it anyway and make it work because I just think, you know, let's roll the dice. I rolled the dice staying out as long as I did in the mediums, and it paid off because I was doing personal best pretty much every lap, and if I wasn't, then I was only like within a tenth of doing it. So the consistency was very much there. So let's try and have a good final stint here. We are on super softs now, and we are going to have to work hard to get into the points. I think we are going to be in P12 when we rejoin in clean air, but you can see the situation on the minimap. Our teammate is going to be the target for points. So this is going to be a very intense 11 to 10 laps here. So let's give it some, and let's try and get into those points. Right, at 1 minute 34 dead, Raikkonen just did a fastest lap of 33.6. So I'm only literally 4 tenths off the fastest guy on the track. So our pace is good, and that lap was in standard mix. Now I'm going to go into rich. So let's try and pick up a little bit more. We are close to Palmer now, and I should be hopefully passing him by the end of this lap. Right then, on the back of Jolyon Palmer, it's going to be a pretty simple pass, I think, into turn 1. Let's just try and nail this final corner. And there we go, absolutely perfect. Open up the DRS, and we're going to pull to the left-hand side and hopefully just edge our nose in front before the first corner. And there we go, we've made the move up into P11 now. We've got to try and get past my teammate Felipe Massa, who is just up the road. And he's in a little bit of a battle now with a couple of cars. So this is going to be our opportunity now to try and get a couple of points. Okay, we're making great progress. I'm now out of rich mix though, so we're going to have to run it in standard. Tyre wear's a little bit harder than I expected, and we're going to be a little bit tight for tyres at the end of the race, but I think I've got enough on me and with me to make the move, and Ricciardo's the man up next because Massa has passed him, so I think we can definitely catch Ricciardo and pull off the overtake. I've just got to be wary of my tyres, as you just saw there, back end slipping out. It could be game over at any second, but there's a few places here, and if I play my cards right, I can definitely take a couple of positions and a few points home, hopefully. I'm just starting to run out of tyres now in this chase, and Hülkenberg is starting to fall back and hold up Massa and Ricciardo, so P8 is possible, but I need them to stop going single file and actually start battling so I can actually have a chance, because my tyres are running out here and the gap is just sitting at 3 seconds and I'm getting very frustrated. Going on to the final lap, Felipe Massa has managed to pass Nico Hülkenberg, and I'm hoping they just drop back, but it's just not happening. I've also run out of tyres pretty much. I'm going to have to settle for P11 and miss out on points, unfortunately, and finish where pretty much I qualify. But I'm not too disappointed, even though I'm yet to get off the board for points this season. You never know. Hopefully the fortune will soon turn around, and also we've got some R&D points to spend, but this race is a bit disappointing, and so especially the first one. The first one should have been a race win. I think I should have wrapped that one up, but I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to wrap things up in the future. Right, well, I think that's going to wrap things up for this race. We did try something different with a strategy and try and get ourselves back into the race, but unfortunately it wasn't to be, and we're going to come across P11 for the Shanghai Grand Prix, or the Chinese Grand Prix should I say. But like I said, I'm not too disappointed that it's 2 zeros in the first 2 races. I think the first one hurt more than this one. This one, I just sort of I didn't have great pace anyway, like based off of qualifying and practice. I didn't think we had particularly insane pace, so I thought it would be a good chance to take an engine penalty, considering we qualified as bad as we did. But overall, as you can see, Vettel is back on top, and overall he'll be very, very happy with that one, in the words of Andy Tate. Guess who's back, as Vettel is once again on the hunt, and who knows who could win the championship this season. I'm still definitely in the hunt, even though I've got no points. I'm definitely aiming for the championship this season, but either way, so far 2 races, 0 points. But now we're going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings. Okay, looking at the final race results, as you can see, Sebastian Vettel wins the Chinese Grand Prix ahead of his teammate Kimi Raikkonen, with Sergio Perez rounding out the podium there. Lewis Hamilton in P4 just misses out after starting from pole position, and Esteban Ocon gets a brilliant P5 after starting from P9, and also Verstappen from P12 on the grid in P7, and also Massa there into the points in 8th place. So far, we're struggling, and a second 0-point finish of the season. As you can see, in the DNFs, both of the Haas's cars did not make it. Both of the Haas's, that's a bit of a weird English, but both of the Haas cars did not make it to the finish. There we go. But in terms of the driver standings after that race, you can see that Sebastian Vettel takes the championship lead and is equal on points with Esteban Ocon. Raikkonen not too far behind, with also Hamilton and Bottas dropping down a little bit there for the Silver Arrows, and Massa in P9, he does drop a few places to Perez, who's recovered quite nicely this race, and we're in a lonely 14th and top of the 0-point scorers, if that is any sort of consolation. But in terms of the constructors, you can see that Ferrari now have taken the lead, and Mercedes dropped down a second, and we sit in 6th place. So I've really got to try and get a few points for the team now, as Massa so far has got off to a good start. But we're now going to move into the laptop. Okay, so looking at the R&D screen, I think this upgrade here for the tyre wear is going to be the next one we are going to make. We do need 1,800 points free, unfortunately, so we are going to need one more race weekend, I think, to have the points necessary to purchase it. Even once we do purchase it, it's going to take 6 weeks to arrive onto the car, but it's going to be an upgrade. It's going to really help us out in terms of obviously trying to improve a tyre wear, but also ones that I do want to make. I think this one here for the weight distribution on the fuel tank position is also very important. We really need to try and make some big strides in the chassis department, because we are slacking a little bit, so we need to try and catch up to the guys in front and at least be the 5th best team and overtake McLaren and Renault. Also in the engine side of things, I do want to get maybe 2 upgrades here just to be the best team again. I'm tempted to do one now, but I think I'm going to hold back and wait until we get more into power tracks like Baku and Austria. And then in terms of the aerodynamics here, obviously a DRS slot gap is an ultimate upgrade, but realistically it's not even that important, because DRS is only used in qualifying mainly. So it's going to be one of these 3 here, and I mean, looking at these, it's probably going to be, I'm looking at the rear diffuser, to be honest. Maybe the drag for the front wing end plates. It'll be on one of these 3, because these are the ones going to give us the most performance. But overall, no upgrades for the next race, and we're going to hold off for a little bit longer. Like I said, I do want to get this tyre wear one, but I might change my mind. I might not even go for this. By the way, the idea is to just basically bring a raft of upgrades for the Spanish Grand Prix, basically. So we'll see how it goes, and fingers crossed it works out for us. But if you guys have enjoyed this episode of Criminal, if you have, then please do slap a like on the video, and let's see if we can try and smash 300 likes. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here for future F1 content, and also please be sure to check out these videos on screen right now if you have missed them by chance. And also, please do check out GT Omega in the links down below in the description. Use the code TOM97 for a 5% discount on any of your purchases. But other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.